Hey monkeys, how you doing? Damian Keys here. Okay, so there's two things I want to talk about today. Not one, but two. And it's just things that have cropped up and I just thought now's a good time. It's stuff that's happening and it's relevant, so I want to kind of get it out there. So I love engaging with you guys. I just love it. I love talking to you guys about your bands and your projects and what you're up to and if I can help in any way. It's at the moment I really feel with the stuff that's going on in my kind of business life, I'm really at the I'm at the end of, I'm out of my safe zone. I'm doing stuff and I'm involved in stuff which I've never been involved with before. Things have progressed further than I've taken it. And even looking back at my time at BIM and other things, the support network I had around me meant I felt like I was in a safer, less riskier place. And I think with business, I'm loving doing it, but I'm very much brain full at the moment. And one thing I really look forward to whilst that stuff's going on is I really, really enjoy engaging with you guys. But there's a couple of things which grinds my gears. And one thing that's happened twice today is links. I want to talk about links. So one thing that happens quite regularly is I get sent through your band stuff, or I say, send me through any links. And then when you send them through, either the links don't work, that's the worst, when someone says, here's the link to our YouTube, and I click it and it just says, this is a broken link, or this takes me to a YouTube that doesn't exist. And I just think, oh, that's awkward, because if you do that to me, you're going to be doing that to your audience, and you're going to be pissing off your audience. That's not the thing to do. But even past that, because that might just be a mistake, although you've got to be a bit more careful than that, because it's a bit unpro. But even past that, with broken links, is when someone sends me a link, especially YouTube more than anything, sends me a link to their YouTube and then makes an excuse and says, we're not really doing much on YouTube at the moment. And I just think, in which case, it's out there. People can find this, people can see it. So if you're not happy with this, if you're ashamed of one of your platforms, then get rid of it. Get rid of it, don't use it. There's a fallacy that you need to, I'm just gonna pass my phone, do me some Instagrammies. There's this fallacy that you need to have certain social media platforms. Like there's this rule, there is no rule for that. If you don't want to have a YouTube, if you don't want to have Twitter, if you don't want to have Facebook, you don't have to. You do need to have a platform which you can engage with your audience and your audience can engage with you. And I think you'd be pretty dumb not to have a Facebook, but I don't think you need to have a YouTube. And I'd rather see no YouTube than just a god-awful shit one, because it really gives the wrong impression. So what I think when it comes to the links thing is I think you should, I don't think you should axe it. Ideally, what you should do is fix it and make it awesome. But if you can't do that for whatever reason, then I get rid of it. But I think this idea of sending me through a link and then making an excuse, I don't like it. I'd rather you just don't send me the link and go and fix it yourself, or send it to me and say, what should we do with this? But yeah, I get lots of broken links and I just think that's a bit weird. But the second thing I wanted to talk about, and this is a big one, is what's next. One of the biggest questions that crops up for me is what should we be doing next? Or even what is next? What is the future? What's the future of social media? Or what's the future? What are we going to be doing in 3 years on Facebook? And trying to get ahead of the game. And it is very, very, very rare that I will actually see any band, any brand, or any business who are actually doing enough of the basic stuff before they even have to worry about the future. And it's something that crops up a lot. When people are going, oh, we've got Facebook, we've got YouTube, and we've got Instagram. Should we move on to the next thing? What should we be doing with Snapchat, or what should we be doing with Twitter? And I'm looking at your Facebook, your YouTube, and your Instagram, and I'm thinking, they're shit. They're not good enough. They're nowhere near good enough. So having a Facebook, having a YouTube, having an Instagram, that is not good enough. You've actually got to be engaging. And the way I think of it is like this. People are constantly worried about the next batch of audience, the next batch of fans, the next batch of followers that are going to come through to your Facebook. And you're forgetting the most important people, which is the ones you've already got. The people who've come to you and said, I really like you. And this is where I'd like you to think about it, because I did a Skype earlier and this cropped up. I'd like you to think of it like this. If you get to a point where you've got 1,000 followers on your Facebook, then what those followers are is they've already agreed that they've gone, oh, this is quite good. They've bought a ticket, is what happens. They've bought a ticket to the arena. and they've walked in, and all of those 1,000 people have sat down, and they've gone, right then, I've paid my money because you've got the like. I've sat down. What are you going to do for me that's going to bring value? And then what bands do is they just update. They go news. They go, oh, we've got this gig and we've got that and we've got this and we've got that. And this news, and it's more about what we do and what we're doing as opposed to who we are and what will bring you value. So I'd like to think of it as that 1,000 people that you've got on your Facebook, every single day, they've turned up. There's an opportunity because they've turned up at the arena and they've sat down and they're looking at you and they're going, right then, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to bring us value? Your job is that bit. Your job is to bring them value. So every single time you post on Facebook, every single time that you post a picture, a gig, a status, the question is, what is this going to bring value to the audience? Not what is going to bring value to us, what is going to bring value to the audience. Now, it sounds obvious, but I would say 9,999 statuses out of every 1,000 that I see are the wrong way around. They are bringing value to the business, they are bringing value to the person, to the band, to the artist, and they're not bringing value to the people enough. And not one out of 1,000, every single one of your statuses, every single piece of content you put out should be, how is this going to bring value to the 1,000? Because that way, the next 1,000 will join on. But what people are trying to do, they're either trying to get the next 1,000 and they're trying to actually promote themselves. Meanwhile, they're basically just saying, fuck that 1,000, we've got them. They're in the bag. We don't give a shit about them. You don't have them. All they've done is they've liked a page. That's it. So trying to get to the next batch and also trying to say, we've got merchandise, we've got tickets, we've got a new album, we've got a new single. You're just saying, by the way, this is all about me. And then they're saying, well, how do we get to the next 1,000 people? These are both the wrong idea. What we need to do is go, hang on a minute, stop. That 1,000 people, they're the most in people right now for your entire band, for your entire business. They're the ones who've already said, I like you, I like this, we're here for you. Now your job is to provide them value. It's the biggest thing. So when I see people saying, what's next? I'm like, fuck next. You have got nowhere near the amount of engagement, content, value for your audience. And until you do that, then you don't need to think about what's next. And I'll let you in on a secret. If you do that bit, that is the next. Because when you're bringing value to your audience of that much, the audience will grow and grow and grow, and they'll be content and happy, and it will, and your audience will get bigger, and therefore that is the next. So what's next? That's the next. So, it reminds me of, I used to teach bass. Now this bass is my beautiful 1977 Fender P bass, which I've had for many, many years. It's absolutely battered to fuck. I gigged it. It's the heaviest bass I own. I love it. It's the best sound. It's just got a real zing to it. It's an amazing bass. But when I started teaching at ACM, I was 19 years old. I didn't have any money. I had one guitar. That's all I had. It was an Ibanez. It wasn't particularly very, very good. And I loved it, but it wasn't a particularly great bass. A lot of the people I taught in the evening school, a lot of them were business people. So they just played because they enjoyed it and they were hobbyists. And so what would happen is they would turn up every week, and we used to call them weekend warriors. They turn up every week because they had money. They turn up, they'd been to the guitar shop, they spent £1,000 on a new guitar, and they turned up and they were all proud of their new guitar. And I was always jealous of their guitars because they were just like, their guitars were worth more than my car. And they never practiced. They just wanted to buy the guitar and just say, right, can this make me better? And I'm like, no. The only thing that's going to make you better is you practicing. And next week you can turn up with the next guitar. And the next week after that you can turn up with the next guitar. But you're not putting the basics in. What you're doing is you're trying to go, how can I cheat the system? How can I jump over practicing? Because that's boring. How can you just buy something and just make me more awesome? Never worked, never once. Meanwhile, I had like a 300, 400 quid guitar, and I was the one trying to get them to actually teach and trying to get them to play by teaching them. And because I put in the groundwork. So what's next and how can we cheat the system is the bit that I'm seeing. And what I really, really need you to understand is when I'm looking at your Facebook, and I'm not talking about once or twice, I'm talking about every single Facebook that I'm watching on a daily basis. 20, 30, 40, 50 every single day. Everything is so much about you, and it needs to be about your audience. So stop trying to think about the next 1,000 people. Stop trying to think about you promoting your stuff, and actually use your stuff to actually get to your audience. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, that's all very well, but how do we do that? Well, here you go. Let me tell you exactly how you're going to do that. You're going to story tell. Now, this bit's really, really important. You're going to tell stories. Everything has got stories. This bass has got stories, before me and after me, but I can tell you stories about this bass. I can tell you stories about then my bass playing. I can tell you stories about the bands I've been in. I can tell you daily stories about this video. I mean, everything has got its own origin, start to finish. Your job is to tell mini stories about that. Now, what I see from a lot of bands is you put pictures up and the picture tells the story. No, it doesn't. When you put a picture up and it's you at a gig, you have the opportunity underneath it to then start getting people to engage in that picture. So for example, imagine if you've got a picture that sums up the gig that you did as a band, and then underneath that, what you're going to do is you're going to tell the story of that picture. And you're going to say, we played this venue last week. It's the biggest venue we've ever played. We're really excited. So we woke up, we had a rehearsal in the day because we knew we were going to play this new song. We were very excited. We got to the sound check and Jimmy's guitar was broken or something happened. And then when the gig came, we played the new songs, and we've never been so overwhelmed by the support that we had. It was absolutely fantastic. We just want to say thank you so much to everyone who came down. We really, really appreciate, because this is all about our art, and when people like it, it's great. What you're doing is you're telling a story about the picture or in a video or anything like that. That is a way that then people will engage with the story as opposed to just a picture. Because otherwise you're just going to get well done, mate, or thumbs up or like. You're trying to get people to engage so you can talk to them, you can build relationships. Other things you can do, competitions. Other things you can do is a simple Facebook status, a really simple Facebook status, but it's engaging. So one thing I was talking about earlier was, if you're into Kasabian, imagine if you just had a thing on your band page which just said, who'd win in a fight? Serge from Kasabian or Alex from the Arctic Monkeys? Fight to the death. Who'd win and why? It's just a fun question that people will go, it's really funny. I think Serge would win because he's hard. Or I think Alex would win because he'd verbally abuse him to death. Or whatever it's going to be. But people are just going, what's your opinion? Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone wants to get involved. As soon as you just go, here's a picture of me, I don't know how you start to engage in that. You just go, there's a picture of you. Fantastic. Brilliant. I'll just be on my way. There's nothing that really brings you into it. But you can make that picture into something that people will engage with. You can make the same thing with a video. You can make the same story with anything. So your job is to find the value is in the things. So the fact you've got a gig coming up is great, but just posting a picture of the gig, of the venue, and just saying, got a gig coming here if anyone wants to come down, not enough. You have to find a way of telling the story. For example, you're playing a venue coming up. We haven't played live in a month. We've been saving up our time and our gig value for you guys for the last month, and we've been working on some really new stuff, and we're working on a new song especially for this, and this is the biggest venue that we've done. So what we're going to do is we've talked to our friends at blah blah blah, and they're going to come down and they're going to perform with us, and you're telling a story of that gig as opposed to come to our gig, which is not enough. So that's the thing. Those are what I want you to think about today. The links are not good enough. If you have got a link to your YouTube and it is not good enough, just don't send it, or fix it, and you know what's wrong with it, therefore fix it and then send it. But more importantly, when it comes to what's next, it really pisses me off. What's next? Concentrate on the stuff that works, which is bringing value, even if your audience is 10 people or 20 people or 30 people. That's enough. Because if you look after those 30 people like they've never been looked after in their life, or one person, I guarantee that one person will become 2 people. Because they'll go, you wouldn't believe this band. You wouldn't believe the things that they do for me. It's amazing. That other person's like, well, I want to be a part of that. Then it's 2 people, and then it's 3, and then it's 5, and then it's 10, and then it's 100. So Stop trying to think about the 2 or the 5 or the 10 and just think about the 1. Just think about that audience and how you can look after them, and people will automatically jump on board, and you can be like, yeah, good to have you on board as well. Fantastic. I'm just looking after this. I'd think of it, if you've got 1,000 people on board, don't think of it as the 4 people in the band and then the audience. It is a team of 1,004 people, instead of being, this is us, this is our team, this is our group, and by the way, here's what we do. And you can just say, no, it's a fucking community. We're just the guys who perform. We do the performing bit, but this is our community. That's what you can do. That will involve people. So have a think about it. Do me a favor, the usual, like, subscribe. I want to do a competition. I want to pay for your next band's rehearsal, because it's a really simple little thing, and I'll give you a 3-hour rehearsal in your local rehearsal room. I'll just pay for it. I'll sort it myself, so you can just book it whenever you want. I'll just take care of the tab. All you got to do, hashtag under this, hashtag 60min win, do it in the first 60 minutes. Like it, the usual stuff. And anything you want me to talk about, anything you're struggling with, hit me up. Otherwise, I'll see you again soon.